Here are some of my educational material. The books on the right are drumming books. Then I've got DVDs for guitar lessons and drum lessons and audio for bass to accompany my playing and such. And then over here, we've got on the left, we've got from the teaching company, which is now called the Great Courses, we've got elements of jazz from cakewalk to fusion. And then we've got on the far left there the symphony, which is, I forget how many classes, something like 24 classes on how symphonies are laid out and with examples and all that. And then the same with that, history of classical music. And there's CDs, audio CDs. Then over here, that's all the boxes for my virtual instruments. And over here you can see it. Those are all transcription books, note-for-note transcriptions of different music. And then on the left side of it is music theory stuff. So, in addition to that, so you know what kinds of resources that I have for the things that I say when I post stuff on the on Facebook. I want to show you some of my books, and mostly for now what I want to show you is the teaching company stuff. Here we've got like 12, there's 30 half-hour long lectures on chemistry. Not that I'm that much of a chemist, but at least I understand when people talk about chemistry what they're saying. Then, of course, there's contemporary economic issues. Now, each of these booklets here represents one entire one of these things full of CDs. And there's 48 classes, half-hour long. So that is 1 or 2 quarters of an entire semester of economics classes, and it's talking about contemporary issues. So you already have to really have taken some economics classes, which I have. So this talks about things like NAFTA and privatization and tariffs and stuff like that, international trade and labor union relations and the National Labor Relations Board and all that sort of thing. This here is a great book. It's like 780 pages, not counting the index, of how the Federal Reserve works and how it runs the country and the history of money, and including the populist movements that were trying to start a national bank based on commodities from the grains of the Midwest. Here we have Edible Forest Gardens in 2 books that talks about permaculture, and then we've got business law, negligence and torts, and business law contracts. Each of those is 8 lectures each, half hour or 45 minutes, I can't remember which. Some health and nutrition and biochemistry for health, like life extension, herbal stuff. Some family law books, just regular things that every person should know. Here are some more. These are the great authors of the Western intellectual tradition, or literary tradition, great authors of the Western literary tradition. Again, there's a huge number of lectures here. We've got 12 lectures, so that's 48, 60, it's like 90 lectures there. Here's another one, Understanding Literature and Life. Each one of these has 10 lectures in it, so that's 10 times 5, 6, 60 lectures on understanding literature and life. Covers a bunch of literature and what it means to our lives. We have Joseph Campbell's Hero with a Thousand Faces. How to read and understand poetry. That's about 24 lectures. The Art of Reading. That's, obviously critical thinking about reading. From Plato to Postmodernism, Philosophy. Again, another 24 lectures. We've got mathematical books there. We've got books on the divine proportion and sacred geometry. I've got Thoreau, Emerson, and the Transcendental Movement. By transcendental, they mean what the American New Englanders call transcendentalism, which is more of what the Chinese call the qi, which is transcendental energy and consciousness imbued in the material world. Although Emerson does have a lecture called The Oversoul, which does approach complete transcendentalism, but mostly all they really talk about is how it's imbued into the material world. And then, of course, the social movements that go in it with natural law and the rights of human beings being above any particular set of people or temporal situation. So then we've got what? The joy of thinking. So these are different methods of thinking, like different forms of logic in science and in philosophy and in formal logic and informal logic, etc. Then we got Zero to Infinity, A History of Numbers. Again, 24 lectures. Then we've got the Encyclopedia of Philosophy. We've got books on mathematics again. This is Practical Workshop Mathematics. A book on core ideas in philosophy, philosophical analysis, which is more like formal and pure logic. We got Thinking Tools. This is, again, reasoning and logic. This is argumentation. So this is how to put together a strict academic argument on something, like what they might do in debate in colleges, or when you're putting together some sort of paper, essay, or when you're a lawyer debating in court. Here we've got the great ideas of philosophy, and there's four of those. Each has how many lectures in it? Each has there's 60 lectures altogether. So that again is like 2/4 of philosophy. The Will to Power, the philosophy of Friedrich Nietzsche. Those are another 24 lectures. The Great Minds of the Eastern Tradition. And that, again, is 36, so that's at least 1/4, one class, college level class. By the way, all the instructors in all these courses are top professors from Ivy League schools or the secondary tiered colleges like Chicago School and I'm at a loss for words here. But anyway, the second tier level colleges and universities that compete with the Ivy League schools. Okay, so philosophy of religion. And then here's one on ethics, the quest for meaning. Now, these are just booklets here, but I've got the CDs in the other room. Here's natural law and human nature. 2 parts. Okay, that's another quarter, another class. And here is Power over People, Classical and Modern Political Theory in 2 parts. Another class. Cycles of American Political Thought. There's 36 36 half-hour long classes there. Here we have The Great Ideas of Psychology in 4 volumes. It's like 48 classes. So there's probably at least 1, maybe 2 classes on psychology. Here's The American Mind. That's just American philosophy and ways of thinking. mostly New Englanders, but also from other parts of the country too. Historically speaking, throughout the history of the United States. Here is The Joy of Science. There's 5 volumes there, so 5 times 12 is 60 classes. So that is 2/4 of scientific thought. Here is the counterpart to the Great Minds of the Eastern. This is the Great Minds of the Western civilization, or the Western traditional. This is the Great Minds of the Western intellectual tradition, right? And there's 12, 24, 36 of these, and there's 2 per though, so that's 72 classes, 45 minutes each. So basically you're talking 1, 2, 3 classes worth, at least 2, more likely 3 classes of all the top thinkers, all the way from the Greeks like Plato and Socrates, to the Romans like Marcus Aurelius and Augustine, to the Age of Reason, when the Western intellectual trip started turning more scientific, and we've got people like Descartes and Hobbes and Newton, Sir Isaac Newton, and then the history got started again after the Greeks with Vico from a different point of view. He studied democracies and where they worked and where they didn't. And then Pascal and Leibniz and Montague and Berkeley and Hume and Adam Smith and Rousseau and Kant and Burke and Auguste Comte, who started sociology, and Hegel and Marx and Kierkegaard and John Stuart Mills and Schopenhauer and Darwin and Weber and his historical sociology and Freud and Nietzsche and James' pragmatism and the heuristics of Gadamer and Bergson with his Elan Vital and John Dewey and Levi-Strauss and phenomenology of Husserl and Heidegger and just the list goes on. Kuhn and his whole idea about shifting paradigms and structuralism and postmodernism. It's just amazing. Altogether, I have 20. Oh, and here's Change in Motion, Calculus Made Clear. Again, a whole course on calculus, maybe 2. So altogether, I have over 2.5 years worth of courses from the top teachers in the country. And it cost a lot of money, let me tell you that. I've also over here got some other books on religion, spirituality, philosophy, yoga, things like Light on Yoga by BKS Iyengar, which is like the top yogi, really. And some stuff by Joseph Campbell, the Bhagavad Gita, some Buddhist meditation stuff. I've got some magazines up there for reference. What is Enlightenment and Yoga Magazine and so on and so forth. And there's all my vinyl records that I still have. Look at all those vinyl records. Anyway, that's it.